Right. I think the biggest signs of burnout are a lack of interest in other things. So it's a form of depression in some way because you are less interested in spending time with friends, even family. All of those things kind of like cause you a burden, a sense of burden, because you feel like you have to be over in this other area, on work, for example. So there's the other signs.
Welcome to Inspired Choice today. I'm your host, Caroline Biesalski, here to bring you authentic stories, surprising lessons, and powerful takeaways to fuel your journey in business and life. In each episode, I'll take you from one inspiring guest to the next, blending their experiences with my expertise to uncover practical strategies you can use right away. Whether you're starting out or stepping up, stay tuned for insights and actionable tips that make a difference. And stick around until the end for a special freebie just for our listeners. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is Erin Harrington, and I'm so happy that you said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Caroline. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. And I would love to introduce you, of course, to the audience. You empower busy, overwhelmed individuals to achieve work-life harmony and beat burnout. You are the author of The Whole Life Planner, which blends science, self-care, and sacred practices to help others thrive. You draw from your experience balancing career success with health challenges, and now you share the tools that transformed your life. When not coaching or speaking, you enjoy yoga, nature, and exploring the Maine coast. Tell us more about it. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Erin Harrington.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the introduction there. It's such a great pleasure to be here with you and your audience. Yeah, I've experienced some unique things in life, major challenges, let's call them, whatever they are. And in the process of navigating them, I have found some like really magical secrets, I feel like, and I want to share them with as many high achievers as possible, because I think, generally speaking, people work too hard and they're not caring for themselves. And that causes a lot of breakdown, both in your relationships, the things that you love, but also your own effectiveness as a high achiever, whatever it is that you do. So I'd love to share my pivotal story of two major burnouts that shaped the story of my success. The first burnout was before 30. I was the top sales achiever for a startup. In fact, it was an affiliate marketing company. So that's how it was a company that we were bringing to the idea of affiliate marketing to the market. And so we were educating, and it was really exciting and making a lot of traction. And I was incredibly successful, and I burned out. I had a lot of pain. I'd say I was a little depressed. I lost some of my relationships, but it also impacted my overall thinking and effectiveness. And my first clue to the work-life balance thing, it was during that whole startup turned IPO. We had a successful IPO. During that experience, I had such severe back pain that I took a leave of absence. And during that leave of absence, I was living in San Francisco at the time. My soon-to-be husband and I drove up the coast, the California and basically West Coast, up to Alaska, and camped in Alaska for about 8 weeks, traveled all around. And let me tell you, my pain went very much away during that time. So even though I was camping on like a mat this big, and doing a lot of physical stuff, the stress went away, or the physical pain went away. So that was my first clue that there was, first major clue that there was a big connection. Ultimately, I ended up retiring from that space because once I went back to work, I did it for a bit longer, but the grind was just too much for me. And so later, after other life experiences, when I had my first two children, the second child, when I gave birth to my second child, for whatever reason, even though it wasn't a difficult childbirth, genetic medical issues sort of just showed up in my life, and I got quite sick. In fact, on paper, I'm a hot mess. Like you wouldn't even think I'm upright and able to speak based on the diagnoses that I have. But what I found was, over the past, 20 years, that if you retrain your brain, if you get your brain out of that fight or flight space, which is where a lot of fear and stress takes place, then you can be more successful across all areas of your life. And there's a really simple hack on how to do that. So that's why I'm so excited about what I do. I feel very much that this is my purpose in life at this point, is to sort of share this with other high achievers.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. So I'm inspired already. And what you told us about being a high achiever, and then you went to Alaska for 8 weeks, or it was traveling and sleeping on that thin mat. Can one say, is it the right word? I don't know.
Yes.
And then your
Yes.
back went better. And I love that
Mhm.
so much. So then, of course, I prepared some questions. Let me see. Yeah, we talked about how your personal journey with health challenges shapes your approach to stress management and well-being. Now you share it with others, right? And what are the most common signs of burnout, and how can high achievers catch them early?
Right. I think the biggest signs of burnout are a lack of interest in other things. So it's a form of depression in some way, because you are less interested in spending time with friends, even family. All of those things kind of like cause you a sense of burden, because you feel like you have to be over in this other area, on work, for example. So there's the other signs. I sort of got off track there for a minute. Other signs of burnout are things like spinning over, like, so cognitive spinning. You're kind of like, you're not getting a lot done. You're just spinning. High levels of stress. So you might experience more headaches. You might experience, your blood pressure might go up. You might find that you're not thinking clearly. So if it's hard for you to keep track of thoughts, if it's hard for you to sort of look big picture and sort of like close out your day and feel like you've done enough, those are signs of burnout. Did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. I find myself in it. I witnessed this as well, I think 3 years ago or so. And then, yeah, I realized that it cannot go on the way it was. And now I'm here doing doing my podcast and having fun, of course.
Fascinating.
Mhm.
So tell me, is the burnout experience what led you to this place that you're in now, this podcast, ultimately?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because I someone asked me the question, what do you really want? And no one asked that before. And I wrote a list about the things I want to not achieve, but I want to experience, like traveling or something. And then little by little, I started to do exactly this. And, like I had an accounting company for 16 years, and it was so boring every day what you said. And of course I was focused on the one thing, on the task, on the you said this, focus on one thing. But when you lose interest in other things, because at the end of the day you think you didn't fulfill your tasks or whatever. It never ends, right? It's the spinning. You use this word. I love this because I I didn't know this word before in that context, let's say. So it answered my question, and
Yes,
I
I appreciate you sharing your personal story for that. That's really inspiring. I love it. I love it.
yeah, thank you so much. And it is what connects us all, because I think people who went through a transformation story, they went from being you call it rock bottom or something. You hit the wall and it doesn't continue, and you have to change something, otherwise um, you perish or you vanish, so to say. Can one say this? I
Yes.
think so.
Yes, yes. Those both work.
Mhm.
You're doing, yes, that's great. Yeah, I agree with you. I think
Mhm.
from my own perspective, the symptoms of all the, because my medical conditions haven't gone away, but my symptoms have reduced and they're more manageable. Um, Although stressors can take me out hard in an instant, just because I have this thing called autonomic dysfunction. So my nervous system already is going to the extremes, the fight or flight, or the other sides. Like, for example, my heart was stopping. So I guess my point is that when you notice and recognize in an instant, the ability to sort of shift your mind. Well, so this is what I do, Caroline. Let me be specific. So I have a book called The Whole Life Planner, which you mentioned, and then I've, over the past 20 years of my experience and 10 years of cognitive rewiring training, I basically have created this book of these daily prompts. There's 10 daily prompts. Now, I created this for myself about 8 years ago. And then I found that, and it's changed my life so much that I decided to publish it. But they're 10 very simple prompts that help you stay aligned on a daily basis and basically feel better about what you're doing overall, both in work and in life. And actually, at the beginning, the front end of this book, there's a whole bunch of worksheets, and you mentioned that someone asked you, what did they ask you? What is it that you really want to do? I think you said, is that what they asked you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions like that are at the beginning of my book, because again, it's the same concept. I we are we are whole human beings, right? You can't separate work from life. So I'm a big believer in this concept of wholeness, and wholeness basically just emphasizes our personal lives, our professional lives, health, relationships, and overall happiness are all intertwined. And in order to do that, to have this whole approach, I tap into regulating my nervous system. That's how it works for me.
I understand. Thank you so much for answering. Yes, I thought about when, you mentioned self-care as well, and it has all to do with that. Also, when you take the time to fill in that notebook you created, the whole life planner. I love that so much, the concept. So to take care of yourself and to pay attention and to put yourself first as well, because that way you are able to answer that question. Otherwise, other people are taking you away, or you think you have to do, or you live for your work or something. And yeah.
That is so, so true. It's easy to get pulled throughout any given day in so many different directions, right? And I see this tool for myself as sort of a North Star, a compass to keep me going. And even on the days that I'm in, like, let's say my symptoms are really bad, my health symptoms on a given day, maybe I don't get as much work done because I'm really down and out, but I don't feel bad about myself. I still find a way to celebrate those days, because it's easy as human beings, for us to be really hard on ourselves as we go through life, the ups and downs of life, especially if you're a high achiever and you take pride in achieving. I think that, if you're of the high achiever mentality, you tend to want to do everything right and put 110% in your work, in your relationships. And it's hard to do that if you don't have balance. So at the end of the day, what I recommend in terms of tricking, the one of the greatest hacks to get your brain into that success state is this prompt. For example, I'll support myself by blank. So on any given day, I'll support myself by. So for example, I tend to write something like gardening, going for a walk, and playing with the dog. It's something along those lines. Maybe meet a friend for lunch, maybe something like that. But it's really important to identify at least one special way that you'll support yourself through that day. And that's self-care.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I have a new idea now of how to support myself through the day, and also our listeners, of course. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. I have another question. Can you share key insights from the Whole Life Planner? You did this, that can help people balance purpose, productivity, and peace.
Yeah. So, I mean, at a really high, as we already talked about, these 10 questions are very specifically designed to both get things done, but also stay grounded and have that sort of happiness effect, which allows you to create more success. Because if you're feeling bad about yourself, or your confidence is down, or you feel like a failure, or you're second guessing everything that you did, it's very hard to get successful work done during those times if you're spinning like that. So really, like, the fast track way to success across your whole life is to create this sense of harmony. Hopefully I've made that reasonably clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I had a conversation with someone recently about the difference of balancing something and creating harmony. Balancing is a little bit like, yeah, you have to choose, or you have to, I don't know, but harmony between all the areas feels great.
Right. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I use the word balance. Balance is sort of a misnomer because, it's always moving, right? That's just part of life. So you can use balance, you can use harmony, you can use whatever word you want, as long as you're not stuck in that fight or flight response and feeling really icky and stressed and not getting anything done and spinning and all of that. So the goal is to just feel better about your achievements on any given day.
Oh, yes, that's a great goal. And this would be my last question to you. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your next projects?
Well, okay, so yes, that's a loaded question. It's the first of the quarter, right? Or the beginning of the quarter. So, of course, I did my quarterly goals. I usually have 3 major goals. In fact, I have some goal worksheets at the front end of this book, and occasionally, if people check out on my website, I have goal setting workshops where you would get access to these worksheets. But at any rate, the 3 goals that I tend to set are across my whole life. They're not necessarily just work related, because it's really important to me. So one of them is always well-being. And so that includes things like strengthening, because I have to keep myself strong. So there's a number of well-being related things. And then, of course, the other 2 goals that I have are related to podcasts and speaking engagements, paid speaking engagements, and coaching, the VIP and group coaching that I do. So those are sort of the 3 different goals. The one with well-being, also the first one that I mentioned, that includes things like hobbies too, that I have on my list. Jewelry design, jewelry making, beading is something that I really, really love. And it's a great winter project, and I haven't done it. I sort of put everything away for a couple years, but I have tons of supplies. So this quarter, that's one of my hobbies. And a big goal for me ultimately is to be on a TED stage. A TED Talk stage. Yeah, that's a major goal.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. And we will all support you and witness this. I see this already. I see you already on stage. Of course, I see it. And please reach out to Erin. She's amazing. She shares her wisdom and you call it hacks to prevent burnout, so to say. And I love your whole life planner. Where can we find you?
So my website is soulvalues.com, and it's just soulvalues.com. And then there's also on LinkedIn, you can find me. That should be in the show notes. And then of course there's a free download of these daily pages that should be available in the show notes as well. That's the 10 prompts and then sort of a blank page for note taking. And you can print out as many of those as you want, or you can pick up a copy either on my website or on Amazon. I have a soft cover copy and a hardcover copy as well. I generally offer, 30-minute complimentary consults to, listeners. So if someone wants to dig deeper into this, they're welcome to.
Oh, thank you so much. This is so generous. Please reach out to Erin or connect with me. I will introduce you, of course, and invite her to your stage events or podcasts, speaking opportunities. You talked about this as your next goal. And now it's time for your final thought to the audience, please.
Yeah, I want to impress to your audience that, the more feel good things that you do, the things that you love, that bring you happiness, those that bring you joy, it's a really good idea that instead of pushing those to the side, which most of us do because there's not enough time, it's a really good idea to give yourself the gift of some of those things that really matter to you because they fuel your success directly and indirectly. So don't miss out on those feel-good things. Those feel-good things are the key to both professional success and personal success.
Wow, thank you so much. It was an amazing episode today, the Inspired Podcast. And we also have a book list on Amazon with all the books of our amazing guests. Thank you, Erin Harrington, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Inspired Choice today. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to stay connected and never miss an episode. And here's something special. Grab your free 20-minute breakthrough session with me. It's designed to help you kickstart or level up your business. Just check out the show notes for more. Until next time, keep making those inspired choices. See you in the next episode.